Was this all gas, no brakes? Andrew Callaghan responds to misconduct claims, says the alleged victim asked for money. A legal rep for the journalist tells TMZ Andrew is devastated that he's being accused of any type of physical or mental coercion against anyone. Conversations about pressure and consent are extremely important, and Andrew wants to have these conversations so we can continue to learn and grow. Adding, while every dynamic is open to interpretation and proper communication is critical for those involved, repeated requests for money should not be part of these conversations. For those of you unaware, Andrew started getting heat on TikTok after a woman named Caroline Elise recounted an alleged incident between her and Andrew, claiming he got her consent to sleep together by wearing her down. A source with direct knowledge tells us Caroline requested money from Andrew, referencing the fat check he got from HBO for his documentary. She allegedly asked to be paid just minutes before the doc aired. We're told Andrew didn't pay up, and Caroline uploaded the TikTok a few days later, urging others to come forward, which is exactly what happened. Okay, here's the issue. Here's the issue. For PRE for me? No, I did not mention the first allegation as much because ultimately more people came forward. If you recall, in my coverage of the matter, I spoke mostly about the second accusation, not really left up to a moment of, not really left up to like, oh, I gave consent, but I didn't think that consent had happened. Hasan, you treated Kai worse for not being involved, and you were treating Andrew, who actually did that. I was very, very open with my commentary on this issue. You are out of your mind. Perhaps you did not pay attention, or perhaps you just want to flip something out here. It's not up to interpretation. Andrew's trying to pin the PR on the first accuser. Yeah, that's the reality. The reality is that more people came out, okay? More people came out, and the second accusation was like very clear cut. I do believe that Andrew has evidence for this, what he's stating here. I don't know if you saw since I missed your coverage, but Ethan spoke to Andrew, and he's in a psych ward. I guess Andrew said it happened. I, at the very least, got, great, there's extortion. No. And it's not like the way that this is presented. Andrew confirmed everything these girls said was true, so I don't know why he's bringing her up asking for money. So Ethan and Andrew spoke. I did not speak to Andrew directly, okay? But Ethan and Andrew spoke. And basically, as Ethan also stated, that Andrew pretty much confirmed that that this happened. But additionally also showed text messages, if I am aware, if I have all the information, text messages from the first person saying, you and I had a relationship that I originally I don't consider to be assault, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. However, I'm still traumatized from my past assaults, which are real, and that that is the reason why now that you got a fat bag from HBO, you could potentially pay for my therapy, okay? And if you want to pay for my therapy, here's my Venmo or whatever. Here's my PayPal. But it does not matter because while this first person who came up with the accusation might have been on like a gray area or might have felt that way, the second person and multiple other people that have come forward, but especially the second person that came forward and talked about it was like very clear cut. Now, the reason why I did not bring this up personally, is because the other allegations came out afterwards. The other allegations that came up afterwards kind of completely negate the first person that came up, even if it was literally to be like, well, you. Can you finish your sentence completely? Just say all the other accusations are clearly assault? No, the second allegation is a clear-cut example of assault. The one from the other person, not this person. The other girl who talked about the car incident described assault, not sex pestering. You can't grab a person's hand and shove it down your, especially after they said no repeatedly. That's just criminal assault. Ultimately, Andrew has not talked about anything other than basically this TMZ component here, which not great, especially because like there's more accusations, and then a lot of things that are in the out there in the space. And what I mean by that is, basically is that there are so many random like third party, fourth party, oh, a friend of a friend told me that he's bad type of conversations. And that stuff is enough for a lot of people. Okay. That's like, oh, I'll write him off immediately. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. None of those things are, in my opinion, relevant like the firsthand account. Okay. Firsthand account of the first person. Which is why when I saw, not the first person, sorry, the second person, which is why when I saw the first-hand account of the first person, when they compiled a list of like other people being like, he's creepy, he's gross, he's had with like people who live with their parents, which implies that they are definitely underage. Like, that sort of shit is completely irrelevant, and it literally sidesteps away from the main point of contention, okay? Not only that, but in my opinion, it literally, unless someone is like hypersensitive to these sorts of things, which we know in a patriarchal society, people are not, right? People don't immediately run to believe victims, no matter how much right-wing people claim that, everyone's believing women unconditionally. Let's be real. That doesn't happen, okay? That doesn't happen, which is part of the reason why when you put like a friend of a friend knows the camera guy for Channel 5, and he said he with young people that live with their parents, which means they're definitely underage, like that sort of muddies the water, and I think is gross and irresponsible, okay? So Andrew is now trying to backtrack what he said to Ethan and said she just wanted money. No, I think that he basically is, this is more so like a substantiation of the things that happened, okay? No mention of the second person that came out with a direct firsthand account, which I think is like the most valid and most important one to address. And instead saying the first person was like basically on a fishing expedition because they had like a scenario where they revoked consent and said that Andrew was pestering them, and then asked Andrew for money. Account appears to have inspired at least one other to come forward with their own stories about him. Yeah. And the problem in a situation like this, which I personally consider to be a very delicate matter, a very serious matter, is that when the accusation, the first accusation can be like undermined, especially if they have personally asked for money or therapy or the like, no matter what, and mentioned that like Andrew made a lot of money off of their fat HBO documentary or whatever, then all of a sudden, no one is gonna think about any of the other instances, and potentially no one is going to look at like the second person who has a direct account, okay? It didn't undermine it though. Yeah, it didn't undermine it in your eyes, but in the eyes of like the overarching people who are rushing and excited at the prospect of, once again, saying, oh, this person is like probably lying or whatever, they're not going to think about it twice. Of course it's going to undermine. You're so crazy, man. I'm sorry. People literally undermine victims, like straight up, that go out and get tests done. What are you talking about? They don't even need someone to behave in a manner that like comes across suspicious or anything like that. You can be quote unquote the perfect victim when the expectations are so high, right? Incredibly high, unnecessarily high bar to clear for making an accusation. Even when you clear it, people go, oh yeah, dude, you're a liar. Like, I don't care. If the random grapevine rumors are true, maybe we'll hear more. Not necessarily, because now you will see a wave of people. You will see a wave of people to go, oh, there it is. This person asked for money. They are literally, all of the accusations are fake. Especially because the first person that came out with their story, no matter what the truth is on their story, and I do believe their story. I do believe that like they originally did not want to offer consent potentially, and they were both drunk, and that Andrew pestered her, and then she ultimately said yes. Okay, I do believe that story. But the way that she went about it, after like literally asking money for therapy, including mentioning like the HBO show, and then also piling together TikTok comments to say there's a lot of other people out there, is giving so much ammo to people that are going to be in the margins looking at this story, not like the right activists who already are going to undermine any victim no matter what, but also on top of that, it's going to undermine other victims that have come forward, and it's going to stop, most likely, because when you see backlash, it's going to most likely stop anyone else from coming forward in general. It's not that the timing of the the timing of the accusation isn't weird, okay? One can feel like we saw with the Andrew Tate conversation when we were talking about Andrew Tate. One can feel more upset because they see the person that has harmed them gaining prominence and feel like they want to signal to everyone else like they need to stop doing this. Okay? That's one thing. All right? That's an understandable thing. But when you're also asking potentially for money, for therapy, or for money in general, that becomes an entirely different subject matter other than just signaling to other people and trying to trying to get the truth out and trying to stop this person from engaging in these sorts of actions over and over again. That's it. I agree, but also because of proximity to Andrew, your criticism is not the most appropriate at the moment. Yeah, well, my proximity to Andrew is completely unimportant, considering that I have already covered this and I already talked about what I think is like completely inappropriate. Okay, Andrew's actions are inappropriate. There is no bias in this matter. I think Andrew's actions are inappropriate, and I said that very, very clearly. Like, what would have happened if he was like, sure, I'll give you money? I also despise when people ask me what my like personal feelings on the matter are, when one, I've already talked about my personal feelings on the matter, and two, my personal feelings, as you can see from this quote from the time I originally covered it, are unrelated to the matter at hand. What matters is reframing the conversation around victims, getting some form of restitution, and what matters is, having someone who is responsible for these sorts of actions to recognize what they've done and never do it again, okay? And engage in restitution.